I need to play music, if not for YouTube. Good evening, ladies. Oh yeah, I expect some ladies and gentlemen. I'm super excited. This is my first live. Yes, this is Easter Sunday. Happy Easter, everyone. I am super pumped this evening, like you can see. I am very, very, very excited to have you here. Okay, I'm trying to get the guests to join. Um, let me see who will come in here first. First person to be here. Let's do live on here. One matter is trying to come. Let me see who comes in here first. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I couldn't put my thumbnail, but I'm gonna put it. What option do I select? Option. I don't know, no, because I don't know how it looks on the other end. Um, to join. Let me let me introduce you. I'm trying to introduce. Okay, I'm going to introduce the guest in about 30 seconds while I'm waiting for somebody to join. Okay. Okay, so hello everyone. Is anyone here now? Okay, so running up to this, I'm trying to see who's going to come on this live first. Who is joining us live? Okay, so I'm going to go straight on, and this discussion is going to flow right now because it already passed. So listen to my little story. He sat that cool morning, wandering off in thoughts as the sermon went on in his home assembly. He was worried that his marriage was a shadow of itself, and his wife, as a coping mechanism, has learned to live her life on her own terms so as to prevent the constant brawls between them. The disagreements have been nerve-wracking, and he knows. He knew he always got this kind of reaction from even close relatives, friends, colleagues, and family members when he was a single man years back. How does he respond and or rather, why does he respond and act brashly towards people and have this deep inability to empathize? He wondered. He has always believed that he can use people to get whatever he wants. He has realized right now that he does not believe in or trust anyone, not even his clergy. He felt in his earlier years that as a manager in the AOB company, it has worked for him while managing people and his subordinates, but he realized that it just made people stay away from him when things mattered. He has no intimate and vulnerable part of his life that he shares with anyone, not even Erica, his wife of 16 years. Now in mid-age, he has seen how even his three children are growing up without his direct impact, even when he does his fatherly roles and tries to mentor them. That deep, unbiased connection is loudly lacking. He knows that he knows that deep down, he yearns for love, to be in that stage where he's not protecting any emotions or trying to create boundaries. Obika knows that this might be midlife crisis, but he is what definitely leading him to quit his inner loneliness and suffering in spite of the external accolades and begin the journey to his true self. Could some things that happened in the past have contributed to this? Or is it just who I am? What could this be? He always asks himself over and over again and seems seemingly confused. He knew it was time to risk talking to someone he can trust and to unburden and just be free to live life happy. But who can he talk to? He asked himself. At this time, the clergy was reading from the holy book, and he stole a glance at his wife, almost wondering if she could read his thoughts. So it's Easter, guys, and I present to you someone who is going to, you know, be what you're talking to tonight. And no matter when you're watching this video, whether you're watching in a replay, this is an absolute pleasure. Let me introduce our guest. Let me introduce Dr. Chika Nya-Etok to you formally. Um, I want to be sure that somebody is going to join live. Like, seriously, guys. I know that this is my first time, and I'm just like super excited. Okay, so just listen. Dr. Chika Nya-Etok is a public health physician with over 35 years experience in the medical profession. She's a 2015 fellow of the Health Literacy Leadership Institute of Tufts University School of Medicine, Boston, Massachusetts. She's a former country medical advisor of Unilever Nigeria. She's currently the principal of HealthWise Concepts in Nigeria, which drives health literacy promotions towards the achievement of universal health coverage. HealthWise Concept envisions a Nigeria in which there is optimal patient-provider synergy at all levels of healthcare delivery and accessible, affordable, and qualitative care for all persons in all demographics at all times. Dr. Chika is trained and certified in crisis counseling by Institute of Counseling, Glasgow, UK rather. She's also certified by Trauma Healing Institute of American Bible Society. Yes, I can see somebody's on. Welcome. Okay. She's a certified Trauma Healing Institute. She was certified by the Trauma Healing Institute of American Bible Society in the USA and as a healing group and training facilitator. The mental health initiative that she leads, Soul Health Wellness Company, has served over 800 persons in nearly 2 years since inception. Chika is also a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Mediators and Conciliators of Nigeria. Dr. Chika Nya-Etok is married and is a mother to 3 grown-up children, and she's a grandmother to a delightful son. Let's make welcome our guest in a bit. She's going to join us right away. And we have lots of questions for her tonight, and all for you guys, all for you. Like, you have the pleasure, you have the privilege rather of asking her questions live, after she's done, answering some of the questions that I already have outlined. So it's my absolute pleasure to welcome her to this session. Dr. Chika, let me know if you are able to join right now. um let me see. Okay, my life is showing me waiting for the guest. Okay, let me see. Hello. Good evening, ma'am. Yes, please. Okay. Can I call you back, ma, please? Just in a bit. Yeah, I'm live. I'll call you back. Thank you, ma. All right. Okay, so I thought that was our guest, but it's not. Okay, we're trying to fix the technicality so that she can join us in a bit. So we are talking about trauma. Yeah. Today is Easter, and it's a great time, trust me, to I'm trying to see whether am I supposed to accept something here. So today is Easter, like I said, and it's a great time to find healing, and that was what our guest said, and I totally I think it's a privilege, it's a great privilege to actually. Okay, I can see 3 people are online. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Our guest will be here in a bit. We're going to do some troubleshooting to be sure that she can join us seamlessly here. So this is a session on trauma. we're going to ask her questions about trauma, what causes it. This is the point where you can actually find the missing link between what you think is behavioral or who you are that isn't quite serving you, if you get what I mean, and be able to untie all of that to live your best life. That's what this webinar is about, and we have the perfect guest tonight. While we are waiting for her to join, please stay on the line and share this link to as many people as you think this will benefit, because we're going to be here for another 40-45 minutes, 1 hour thereabout, depending on your questions at the end, right, to get this right. I have sent another link to be sure that our guests can join us. Guys, it's my first time doing live on YouTube, and I absolutely love it. So while that is happening, but how to join as guests? Oh, okay. Um, I'm sending. Okay, I've been sending links. I'm trying to get my guests on here. Okay, okay. Let me get to our guest. Hello, ma'am. Good evening, ma'am. Hello. Um, I've sent. Oh, why have I been sending late? Oh, I was sending. Check my WhatsApp. Then check my own WhatsApp. There's the last link I sent. Okay, just send the last. Just cut it and send out the last link. Guys, pardon us. We'll be here in a bit. I see 4 people. Welcome. I'm super excited. Our guest will soon be here. What is now? Hello, ma'am. Hello, ma'am. Um, the last link. Okay. So I'm going to send another link right now for her to be able to join. Guys, welcome. Keep sharing this link. So, did you enjoy that citation of Dr. Chika? She's well accomplished. Guys, I won't bring you, just any kind of person, because, see, life is for the living. Some people have been under all kinds of traumatic experiences and its effect without even knowing, and that's also the tricky part. But tonight we're going to be able to shed a light on them and understand what it is and know exactly what to do to overcome them, so that life can become a little bit different. Remember that we are all driven by what we think, our mindsets, and how we react to things that happen to us in life, right? There might be an opportunity out that 2 people can engage, but one person might be able to get the opportunity just because of the way they reason and see things, and another person may not be able, just because of the effect of their trauma. So it's really, really, really exciting, that tonight we're going to host Dr. Chika right here. Dr. Chika, thank you so much for watching me. We're going to get this fixed, I'm so sure. I just sent another link. uh, please do check I think I sent it on WhatsApp. Please do check. You're going to see the last link sent, that just generated. This YouTube thing, we're going to crack it. We're going to crack it. So, guys, thank you for joining in. Our guest will be here in a bit, I believe. Despite the technical hitches and all there, we are going to be on in a bit, right? So, please, when my guests come in, please drop in the comment section, heart, thumbs up, say something to her to make her feel really welcome, please. Okay? Let's see whether the last link is going to work for her to join us. I'm using this feature of go live together. I'm using it for the first time, and we are going to get this going. I really believe. Okay, Dr. Chika, let me know if the link is going to. Yeah. Okay. 3 subscribers. 3 new subscribers. Okay, Dr. Chika. Okay, I can. Update your YouTube. YouTube. Um, I think we need to update some YouTube app on Play Store. I should have troubleshooted all of this earlier. Pardon me, guys. yes, yes, I can see it now. Yes. I just added her. It just popped up right now. Dr. Chika is going to be here in a bit. Yes, 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 yes. Good evening, man. Good to have you here. I said today, this was the
Good
work.
evening. Good
Good
evening.
evening, ma. Good
Hello
to
as
see
well.
you. Oh my God. Thank you so much. I've just been like,
So
these
I've
people
had
be
to use
happy.
my laptop and my phone,
I can imagine.
just trying to see which works.
Yeah. Can you hear me properly, ma? You can hear me, right? Hello?
I can
Ma, can
hear
you hear me?
you.
You can hear me, right?
I can hear you.
Okay, great. So I've done all the introductions and the citation. So we're going to go straight into what it is about. But meanwhile, happy Easter, Ma. Happy Easter to you and your family. Thank you for sacrificing like Jesus to come and help men tonight. Justina Akman,
Thank you.
thank you so
Happy
much for
Easter to
watching.
you too.
All right. So, guys, do what I asked you to do. Make her feel welcome in the comments. Say thank you for coming. Oh, I can see in your one, Josiah. Wow, see, big people are here. Okay, so let's go straight into the questions. Mara, thank you. I know that the issue of men is a lot, and that's why I'm so passionate about men, like you know. And thank you for
Yeah.
offering to come and this is my first time going live on YouTube, and I said we're gonna do it because men are all
Yay!
wanting.
Resurrection. Good time to do
Yeah,
something new.
yes. Okay, so let's go straight into asking you why did you think this was important for men and at this time? Let's start like that.
Um okay, so what it is that I've been doing a lot of workshops on
Okay.
trauma healing for the
Yeah.
past 2 years
Okay.
for different groups of people, ranging from church leaders to rehabilitated commercial sex workers. So
Well, I
you
can
can see the
imagine.
range, you
Yeah.
know. And I find that most of the people who show up are women.
Women, exactly.
We've had a few men coming in some groups, but the men are few.
Yeah.
And men are unwilling to talk about these things.
Absolutely.
So, one is just thinking, you know how people say these days that the reason you have some problems with relationships is that um, girls are brought up to be good wives, but nobody says anything to men. So you
Exactly.
have a well brought up girl marrying a guy who has no clue, and of course there's going to be problems. So,
Yeah.
from that angle, I'm looking at if we're now training women or enlightening women or equipping women with tools to
Yeah.
explore and find out possible causes of trauma in their history and to correct those things so that they live more wholesome lives and have
Yeah.
more satisfactory relationships. Why don't we do the same for men?
For men. Absolutely.
So that's really the reason.
Thank you. This is actually exactly, in fact, this exactly synchronizes with why I do what I do. It's not been easy, it's tough, but there are a few men here and there who every time I remember them, I'm like, go girl, you can keep doing this thing. They
Yeah,
just got my back and they have gotten better over the years. And I
yeah,
absolutely thank you for coming. So let's go into what trauma is. So many
yeah.
times we throw around all these words, trauma, depression, everything, and some people think it's a certain thing. Meanwhile, it's a certain thing. So, what is trauma? From the medical perspective.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about trauma in a way that anybody can understand it.
Yeah.
Because one of the issues, one of the challenges we have as medical people or scientists is that we tend to use a lot of jargon. And at the end
Yeah.
of the day, when you have been trying to enlighten people, you may confuse them further. So
Yeah.
I'm one of the proponents of plain language. So I'm going to
Good.
explain what trauma is in plain language. And I would
Yeah.
say that trauma is a deep wound of the heart and mind that takes a long
Mhm.
time to heal.
Wow.
A deep wound
Okay.
of the heart
Deep
and
wound of the
mind
heart. Okay.
that takes a long
A
time to
long
heal.
time to heal. Absolutely. Okay.
So everybody can understand that. But
True.
the thing about that definition is I haven't given any criteria that somebody can use and say, um, this sort of thing is trauma and this sort of thing is not trauma. What
Yeah.
trauma is actually the effect it has on an individual.
Mm.
So because and that's why the definition says is a deep wound of the heart and mind that takes a long time to heal. Because what
Okay.
causes trauma to me may not cause trauma to you.
Absolutely. Okay.
Both of us can go through a certain experience and I just shake it off and keep on moving. I don't even
Mm.
remember it happened. But for
Mhm.
you, it remains in your mind. It remains in
Mm.
your heart. Every time you remember it with some ache, with an ache. Like
Yeah.
sometimes, we use expressions like, my heart is broken, you know.
Mm.
It's
Yeah.
gut wrenching. It's even in the Bible, Jesus said before he went to the cross at the Garden of Gethsemane, he called three of his friends and he said, my heart is sorrowful, even
It's
unto
sorrowful.
death.
Yeah. True.
So these are expressions that describe what trauma is. So
Is
trauma
okay.
is what it is to each person, is a
Yeah.
very individualistic kind of definition.
Okay, great, ma. Okay, I like this illustration because you mentioned Jesus, and Jesus is a man, and he could
Mhm.
express himself and say, "Oh, my heart is, all that," and that's very, very typical for me. So, the next question I will have is, what are the things that causes trauma, especially for men? What are the things in your practice that you discover that are major, trauma points for most men?
Okay, so what causes trauma, like I said, is not a gender specific thing. It's not even, you
Yeah.
can't even use any kind of a description to say it is this demography that it affects.
Okay.
It's just individual. But of
Okay.
course, there are some cultural factors. For instance,
Mm.
when you look at men, you find that in most cultures, men are discouraged from crying.
Mm. True.
So something happens, your heart broken, your first instinct is to cry. And it starts when you're a little boy and
Mm.
you cry. And they say, how can you cry? Are you a girl? Will you stop crying? Are you a girl?
Yeah.
So as you grow up, as you develop from childhood, they implant it in your head that when
Yeah.
something happens that makes you want to cry, don't.
Mm.
But they don't tell you what to do with it.
With
So
it,
I shouldn't
exactly.
cry. Then what should I do? How do I
Mm.
handle this situation that is breaking my heart? So there are cultural things like that. And it also reflects in issues like sexual abuse, like rape. If
Yeah.
a young boy says, let's say a young boy of 11 says he
Mm.
was raped by a 24-year-old woman,
Mm.
the likelihood is that a man that he tells it to, unfortunately, is going to say, you're so lucky.
Seriously. True.
You're a big boy.
Hmm.
They don't see the trauma in it.
Absolutely.
And so, because of these cultural tendencies, men traditionally tend to lock in the traumas that they go through
Hmm.
or rephrase it. That 11-year-old boy could grow up and be the boy that boasts how his first girlfriend was a 25-year-old woman.
Wow.
And it's something that he boasts about. But in his heart, he doesn't feel it that way.
Exactly. Wow.
So, but that's about men. But generally, you find that different things can cause trauma, can cause that deep wound in the heart of whether
Yeah.
a man or a woman. There are things that we can easily relate to, like bereavements, maybe the
Yeah.
death of someone close to you,
Good for
you
you.
know.
Yeah.
Uh, but there are also other things like betrayals in relationships, which
Yeah.
affect both men and women,
Yeah. Women.
you
Yeah.
know. And it doesn't even have to be a romantic relationship. It could be romantic, yes, but it could be just a
True.
very good friend who betrays you,
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
Judas.
Yeah. True.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah.
So someone that you think is your inner circle, someone that you think has your back, somebody that
Yeah.
keeps your money, that keeps your accounts,
Absolutely.
And then he's the one who goes and betrays you to people who want to kill you. That can be heartbreaking. So
Yeah.
um, there are other things. A lot of the things that cause trauma for many people are things that have to do with relationships. And the
Yeah.
most sensitive and long lasting ones are the ones that are caused by people who are supposed to be protecting us. In the caregiving context, by which I mean like parents, older people who are supposed to be taking care of you when you're a child,
Mhm.
who, instead of taking care of you, may abuse you in some ways, physical
Yeah.
abuse. I know that beating children is fairly common in the Nigerian context, but there are some beatings that a child will remember for the rest of his life.
True.
Even when he's an adult, he will tell you about there was this particular thing. I have never forgotten it.
True.
And the problem with these things is that they frame how we think subsequently.
Mm.
They frame our definition of what is a threat or a danger to my life. They
Yeah.
frame how to respond to a perceived threat or danger. And it's
Wow.
perception, but that perception is real. Because
Wow.
if I think that somebody who looks a certain way or talks a certain way reminds me of my father who gave me that dangerous beating, the moment I meet that person, all my guards are up.
Yeah.
You don't even
Okay.
think, this is not my father.
Hmm.
You begin to respond to situations that are similar to things that have traumatized you earlier on without thinking that, it's like a part of your brain actually switches off. Actually, science shows, brain scans show that when people are traumatized over and over, it
Hmm.
physically affects certain parts of their brains.
Wow.
Some parts of the brain switch off, and some
Hmm.
parts of brain become hyperactive.
Wow.
So
Wow. This is
I think I've gone beyond your question. So let me let you lead the
it's fine,
conversation.
man. It's absolutely revelational. Yeah. Wow. So it means that somebody who has some form of trauma will can't be the same person he was pre-trauma. So how do we
Precisely.
identify exactly? So how do we identify someone who has trauma and maybe give the person the benefit of doubt rather than say you are weird, you're this, you're that. So how do we identify that this person might be reacting or behaving in line with a certain trauma so that we can help them better, I guess.
Okay, thank you. That's a great question because it brings me
Thank
to
you.
something I wanted to say, which is
Okay.
um, there is something that we call trauma informed care.
Trauma
Trauma
informed care.
informed care.
Okay.
Yes. And that is actually the basis of the topic of this conversation, where I
Okay.
said, what happened to you?
To you.
Because when people begin to behave in ways we don't expect them to behave, for instance, when somebody is always violent, always, has problematic relationships, like in the story that you shared when you
Yeah.
sent out the,
Mm.
this
Yeah.
the notice for this meeting. So when people have problems and people that relate to them, identify and say something is wrong with this guy. I don't know why he's always doing this. He's very
Mm.
annoying. The
Yeah.
tendency is to come at them with that attitude, that anger, that judgment that says, what is wrong with you? Why do you keep
Exactly.
doing this? What is wrong with you?
Mm.
But a trauma informed approach takes a pause, steps back, and looks at you and says, what happened to you?
Mm. I see.
What happened to you? So you can see, even from the tone of voice, that the
Yeah.
person that says, what is wrong with you, is different from the person that says, what happened to you?
Mm.
What happened to you says, I'm concerned about you.
Yes. Yes.
You don't seem to be okay. Are you
Mm.
hurting somewhere? Is there some way that I can help?
Wow.
So, trauma informed care is that we approach each other, and really, we can all build communities of care. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to be a specialist or an expert in
Yeah.
trauma. It's the way if we relate to each other in our relationships, whether it's work or family or whatever, with that trauma lens, you
Mm.
find that you're able to help the person in time.
Wow.
In time.
Wow. This is so okay, ma. Okay, ma'am, you can continue. I was just
Okay.
awed by the
So
whole. Mm.
So yes. So if we approach with that attitude to start with, it's the attitude. Because if you come with that attitude of curiosity and
Yeah.
compassion, a
Compassion.
compassionate kind of curiosity, something is wrong, what is wrong, then you'll be able to see those things, identify them, but not be judgmental. So let me give you, when people are
Hey.
traumatized, or when people have a wounded heart, because I like to use everyday words, because we have
Okay.
said that trauma is a deep wound of the heart and
Mm.
mind that takes a long
Yeah.
time to heal. So, if an individual has a deep wound in his heart or mind and it's taking a long time to heal, there are certain manifestations in behaviors that are common with people with a
Mm.
wounded heart. And I'll just give us three main manifestations of trauma. Number
Okay.
one is reliving the experience.
Oh, okay.
The
Reliving
person
the
tends
experience.
to keep reliving the experience. It's as if the video keeps playing in their head of that
Okay.
traumatic experience, that thing that really
Wow.
hurts them. So they keep, this is happening inside them. It keeps playing. Sometimes they keep having nightmares about it. If they sleep, they have nightmares. If they're awake, they're just thinking about it. You would find that such a person, when you meet them, sooner or later, they will tell you that story, the story of that
Wow.
painful experience. There are people that we know that by the time you've talked with them for 30 minutes, they've told you one story. With time, all
Yeah.
their friends know that they're always
No.
talking about this thing. So you
True.
can see that it's something that has fractured something within them, that has
Mm.
caused a deep wound that is not they can't let it go, it won't let them go. So
Mm.
reliving the experience is one manifestation of trauma.
Okay.
The second one is avoiding reminders,
Oh.
avoiding any reminders of that experience.
Okay.
Sometimes you find that someone wants to go somewhere, and because there's a certain part of town that reminds them of some terrible experience they have, they
Mm.
will take another route and take a longer route just to avoid
Absolutely.
that place. The pain is so much that they don't even want to
Absolutely.
pass through there. Sometimes it's
Wow.
people that are the reminders. Certain people remind you of a
Mm.
very deep pain. And so you will do anything to avoid them. If there's a wedding and you know they're going to be there, you won't be at that wedding. You know, so avoiding reminders of the experience. And part of avoiding it is also that sometimes you ask them any question that may go in that direction and they won't talk about it. They refuse to talk about certain issues. There's
Mm.
a mature man who is a grandfather that I know, that if you ask him about anything that happened when he was maybe 4 years or less, he says, I don't know.
Hmm.
I don't know.
True.
And that I don't know is I don't want to go there.
Yeah, I don't want to go there. Yeah.
It's too painful. So, you know what? I don't know. Let's talk about other things.
Wow.
And in time they may actually forget. Beyond not wanting to say it, they may begin to forget, because it's like you will yourself to forget it because it's so painful. I
Yeah.
don't want to remember
Mm.
it. And this is where some people, in trying to avoid reminders of the experience, may take to addictions,
Oh.
alcoholism, drug addictions, other forms
Mm.
of addictions, even addiction to work, addiction to food, addiction to pornography, all kinds of addictions. So, looking for
Mm.
ways to numb the pain or to run away
Mm.
from the memories. So, we're talking
Wow.
about the ways that people with wounded hearts behave, and we've talked about reliving the experience. I just talked about avoiding reminders of the experience. The third one is being at alert all the time. Have you
Yeah.
ever met
Okay.
someone who is always, agitated, tense, worked up, irritable, always worried something's going to go wrong? Just they
Yeah.
just can't calm themselves down. Their
Mm.
nervous system is on hyper mode, hyper vigilant.
Wow.
They're always, even when good things happen to them, they can't celebrate it. And if you want to celebrate it with them, they say,
Mm.
leave that thing. I know something's going to go wrong soon. I know my life.
Wow.
you know
Mm.
so these three things are the three ways that people with wounded hearts behave. And the people that are hypervigilant tend to have problems with sleeping, because when you're so uptight all the time, you can't calm your system down enough to sleep.
Mm.
And if they
Wow.
sleep, they wake up easily, their sleep is disturbed, Some people would be having panic attacks, always feeling as if something terrible is about to happen. Some would have problems with their breathing. They are not asthmatic, but it's as if they're asthmatic because of the
Wow.
anxiety, the severe anxiety that is
Wow.
associated with memories or reminders of that experience that they had. And these symptoms can be on 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years after the event happened. If you have a terrifying experience today and you are scared today, it's understandable. But in 5 years' time, in 10 years' time, in 20 years' time, obviously
Wow.
there's something going wrong. So those are the three main ways that we can identify, either within ourselves or the people around us,
Yeah.
signs that there may be some trauma somewhere. There's a
Yeah.
deep pain that has not gone
Hmm.
away.
Wow. Thank you so much, Ma.
Yeah.
Wow. As you were speaking, I just was playing back my life, playing back all the other people that have been privileged to speak to, who saw me as somebody they can talk to,
Yeah.
especially in when it comes to their relationship, like you said, and marriage. I actually have men in my men community who their marriage, for instance, had ended. And you ask them at what point did this begin to have issues, at what point they don't just have anything to say. It seems like they weren't in the marriage, like it was a part of them there, and their real self was disconnected all along. And it just makes sense, why that could happen. So the effects are so there that, wow. I just want to go to the next one, which is, can trauma really be resolved, and how? Because how can people get back their life? I just imagine somebody being born, with potentials and all that, and then this wound happens through someone or an event, and then they become a different kind of person. They become all of
Yeah.
these things that you're explaining, which makes them a different kind of people, and probably carry that into adulthood and marriage and all that, and raising children. And I'm wondering if that person have realized, which is the soul of what we are doing tonight. Can the person actually find help? Can this person become less alert, forget the past? Is it really possible? Especially because we say things happen and we can't really forget. Can it be resolved? And if yes, how?
Yes. And that's the good news. That's why it's an Easter
Thank God.
message.
Thank God.
Recovery from trauma is possible, regardless of how deep the pain is and how long it has lasted.
Okay.
And it's not just by faith, even though, yes, you can recover by faith. But I'm happy to say that science and studies have shown that people can recover from trauma. I said to you that when people suffer from trauma, it actually shows in their brain scans.
Yes.
There are abnormalities that are found in the brain scans of people who are suffering from trauma. But science has also found that if they're exposed to environments and therapies that lead to healing, there is a reversal in those changes.
Wow.
So there is a property that the brain has that is called neuroplasticity.
Okay.
Neuroplasticity, which means that it has the capacity to change. It can be
Okay.
changed by trauma, but it can also be reversed. The changes of trauma can also be reversed if the person
I,
is exposed to
I, I
environments,
have
yes,
to
and
clap for
therapies.
science.
Yes. Clap for
Absolutely. This is
science for
good
finding
news.
out what God knew since.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Wow.
So what can we do to recover from trauma? The very first step is recognizing that there is a problem. And the
So
reason I say this, it looks like it's simple enough. I mean, anybody should know that, but it's not. A
it's
lot
not,
of
yeah.
times we live with our traumas for so long that we don't identify them as traumas anymore.
Yeah.
We identify them, we describe them as character traits. So you find somebody who says, I can deal with all kinds of things, but just don't do this. If you do this, I don't know what I will do. I can't even predict what
Hmm.
I'm going to do.
And we call it boundaries. That
Yes, and we say, this is
that's
who
my
I
deal
am.
breaker. That's my
If you like, you
boundary.
can ask my mom or my family, they know
Wow.
me. So you own it as your
Wow.
character. when it is actually a trauma response.
Wow.
So, for you to be able to begin the work of healing, the first step is self awareness. And self awareness requires looking deep into yourself, observing, taking a step and looking at yourself as if you're an outsider, observing yourself and
Okay.
saying, but why do I do this when this happens? Or
Hmm.
why do I respond like this under this circumstance? Become a curious witness of yourself.
Yeah.
Begin to ask questions. So when you have put yourself in that mode, that means you're ready to begin to explore, to find out
Okay.
what's going on with me. What
Hmm.
actually is this? It's easy to say go see a therapist, but the truth is, how many therapists are there in Nigeria? Let's talk of Nigeria. How many
Exactly.
therapists? How many people
Exactly.
can afford them? And even if you can afford them,
True.
there's also the issue of stigma. Many people don't want to, do anything
True.
that suggests that, oh, maybe I might have mental illness, even though I
Exactly.
don't see why. Because if you fracture your bone, you are not embarrassed to go and see the
To go and see
orthopedics.
a doctor. Exactly.
So it's the whole body, wherever the body is sick, or wherever the person, because the person is body, soul, and spirit. Wherever the
Hmm.
person is sick, they should go for healing. And there
Exactly.
should be no shame or apology about it.
True.
It's healing and wholeness that we're all after. So, yes, like I said, it has to start with coming to that point of self-awareness.
Okay.
And when you become aware, you begin to, like, as I was speaking, you said you found yourself thinking about your own life, the lives of people you've
Yeah.
talked to, so you've started that process. You've begun to
Okay.
ask yourself questions. You don't just take it, this is who I am, this is who we
Who
are.
I
Some
am.
people will even tell
Hmm.
you is our character trait. My father was like that, his grandfather was like that, you know. And
Yeah.
the interesting thing about trauma is that trauma can be intergenerational. It can be passed on from,
Oh.
from
Wow.
parents to their children. You mentioned people walking around with trauma and growing up, getting married, even bringing up children. And
Wow.
that is actually the scary part, because there are a
Very
lot of parents who are bringing up children with unresolved trauma in their own lives.
Hmm.
Interestingly, a teenager said to her single mom parent that, please stop bringing me up with your trauma.
Oh my
It's funny
God.
because the young ones, they go online,
Wow.
they know what you don't know. So
Yeah, they
she's
do.
found
They
out
do.
something. There's something going on with her and her mom, and she's read up somewhere and she's concluded my mom has unresolved trauma. The mom doesn't
Oh
know
my
it,
God.
and she's the one telling the mom, say, stop bringing me up with your trauma. And when we talk
Wow.
about childhood trauma, we usually say to parents that the best thing you can do to your child to make sure that you do not inadvertently traumatize them is go and seek healing for your own trauma
For
first.
your own trauma. True.
Because if you don't identify what is wrong with you, with all good intentions, you can traumatize your children. And many
Wow.
times you have parents doing things and saying things like, look, this is how my parents brought me up, and see me, I'm successful, so
Yeah.
that's why I'm doing the
True.
same thing to you. But is it really true?
Hmm.
How successful are you?
Wow.
These are questions we
Hmm.
should ask. So, to go back to, you asked me what can be done.
Done,
And
done,
what can
yeah.
be done is, first, you be willing to look at yourself and to accept that you are not that perfect person that everybody should learn how to live with you.
Hmm.
That you may be hurting from something and
Yeah.
it's causing other things. There was something that I wanted to say, and I think I should say it now. There was a huge
Okay.
study that was done, very huge study, over 18,000 subjects. The history of the study is actually that a clinic was doing a weight loss program.
Okay.
And in the weight loss program, they found that it was very successful. The people were losing weight based on, what they placed them on. But then they
Okay.
found that many people started dropping out of the program. After
Wow.
losing weight, they would drop and then go and gain the weight back.
Uh-uh.
And they had to now go and do a study of those who were dropping out and ask why. You came in here saying you want to lose weight, And then when you start losing the weight, you drop out and go and gain it back. And they found that the greater majority of the people who were gaining the weight back had been sexually abused as children.
Oh,
These are
okay.
adults, full-grown adults. And without being conscious of it, they associated losing weight with being sexually attractive. So
Oh, I
they
see.
felt that when they lost weight, they would attract somebody else who
Wow.
would sexually abuse them. But it wasn't a
Oh
conscious
my
thought.
God.
It
Yeah.
was not a conscious thought. It was the doctors, the people doing the
Hmm.
survey who made the connection for them. They didn't know why they
Wow.
didn't want to lose weight anymore.
Wow. I see.
So a study was done, and that study was now expanded to include so many other things. And it was found that about 70 to 80% of adults who suffer from trauma, it is because of childhood trauma. It's not a trauma
Wow.
that happened in their adulthood.
Hmm.
So that study is very popular. You can Google it. It's called ACE study, ACE, Adverse Childhood Experiences.
Okay.
Adverse childhood experiences. So it came up with a lot of findings that children who are exposed to different kinds of adverse experiences in their childhood, they may seem to have been unaffected by it. And they grow
Hmm.
up and become quote unquote successful adults. But then at some point they begin to have problems. Maybe problems with
Wow.
relationships, problems with addictions, problems,
Hmm.
different kind, even physical
Yeah.
health problems have been associated with it.
Wow.
So it's important that parents deal with their traumas so that they are
Hmm.
better able to help their children.
Okay.
So yes, we're talking about what can we do.
You do.
Self-awareness is the first step, and then the next thing is to be heard.
Hmm.
Being heard,
Being heard.
and being heard, as simple as it sounds, is not simple at all.
It is. It's not
Being
rather.
heard means that the person needs to find somebody who can listen to them without judgment,
Judgment. Absolutely.
without judgment of any kind, and without trying to minimize their pain, and without trying to
Hmm.
compare it with somebody's own. You know how someone is telling you
Oh.
what is hurting them, you say, oh, I had a similar experience. And
Hmm.
it can never be a similar experience. Or you
Yeah.
say, okay, I give an example of this is a real life example. There was a young lady that attended one of our healing groups, and she is a professional, very successful. She's a mother of two, has a stable home. She's even a part-time pastor.
Okay.
But the pain that she has is something that happened when she was in secondary school. When she tells the story, you look at it and say, is that all? Because she says one day her father asked her to do something in the house and she didn't do it. And he came and he looked at her and he said, "You're a fool. You're a big fool. You're a very big fool, and you will be a fool forever."
Ah. Oh my God.
Yes. So it
And
sounds
that's
like,
all.
okay, it's a bad thing to
Hmm.
say, but it doesn't sound like something that should be troubling you like 25 years after, does it?
Hmm.
So when we talk about being heard, you should have somebody who can listen to you without minimizing your pain,
Yeah.
because the pain is yours. It
True.
hurts you. It may not sound like it should hurt someone, but if it hurts you, then it hurts you. It's a
Hmm.
pain, it's a
Yeah.
wound that needs to be healed. So
Hmm.
being heard is very important. And in our trauma healing groups, we actually have a whole 2-hour session on learning
Okay.
how to be a good listener. How
Okay.
to be a good listener that listens in such a way that it leads to healing for the
Healing.
person who is sharing
Yeah.
with you their pain. And
Great.
a lot of the not being judgmental also means not trying to give your own opinion
Okay.
on what the person is saying, in the sense of whether it should be hurtful or not, and things like that.
Okay.
And in our environment also, where we are very religious and we are quick to want to pray
Yeah.
and quote
Great.
scriptures, that's not the time for you to bring in a scripture.
Okay.
Just listen. Don't be that person who, with your good heart, yes, you're listening, the person is telling you and you're saying, but the Bible says in chapter this, verse that you should not. you
Oh my
know,
God.
you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
With all good intentions, at that time, that scripture may not be very useful. And why I say that is when people are traumatized, sometimes the trauma may even because they may have done something that contributed to it. So
Okay.
they may have some part of it that is guilt. It may not
Hmm.
always be something that somebody else did to them.
Have done.
Yes,
Okay.
they may have made a wrong judgment somewhere. They may have taken
Okay.
an action which was not in their best interest, but they did it at the
Mm-hmm.
time and it spiraled
Yeah.
and led to this and that and those. So
Mm.
that's why it's important to talk about the not being judgmental, because you will hear all kinds of things.
Yeah.
And I mean, like
Wow.
if somebody's talking to you, they are in trouble now and they tell you that they sexually abused a 6-year-old child. That's a
Hmm.
terrible thing to do.
There.
But at that
Yeah.
point, you are not going to say that,
Yeah.
because
True.
you are supposed to be helping this person to heal.
To heal.
You are
To
supposed to
heal.
be
Yeah.
an empathic witness.
Hmm.
So being
Wow.
heard is a very important first step on the journey of healing.
Hmm.
I don't know,
Okay.
I think I've talked too much.
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. This is so so key, and I think that this is just the kind of help that most people in this community and everywhere and anybody watching this really needs. And that's the part. Who can hear me out? Who can I trust? And who can I trust without feeling like someday, sometime under the sun, somebody's going to find out, and
Confidentiality. Thank you for saying that.
exactly.
Confidentiality is
Hmm.
very key
Very key.
to being the listener that helps, the person
Hmm.
to get healing. It is, in fact, it's the foundation of it all. You have to
Ma,
be able to hear it and unhear it.
and on here, I'll hear it. Oh wow. Ma,
Mhm.
please, how can anybody watching this reach out to you for this healing? Because that is where, I mean, there's a lot of information on the internet. Everybody, some people have attended trauma sessions, but they're still moving around we sometimes move around with our trauma, and own it like the shell of a snail,
Mhm.
until we unburden it, in a safe, non-judgmental space. Ma, please, so how can we reach you after now to begin the process of healing? Because this is about serving the next generation, so that we don't pass this on. Like you were speaking, I was thinking of myself. There are so many things I have had to do as a parent that I'm like, I caught myself that I'm like, don't do this. Because you were raised like this, you shouldn't do this. And I've had myself having to apologize to my children because I don't want to be, that kind of parent that is on autopilot. So please,
Hmm.
how can we reach out to you, to your organization, Healthwise Concept or Soul Health, so that we can begin the process immediately?
Okay. Let me start by saying, well done that you're even thinking about this in your own parenting experience. And I have to comment on what you said because it's important. In our culture, it's not common for parents to apologize to their children, but it is
Mm,
necessary,
very.
because in bringing up children, you can't do everything right. Sometimes you will
Yeah,
do the wrong things, but it is to be able to come back and repair where there has been a rupture.
absolutely.
That repair is
Absolutely.
what keeps them stable. So thank you for saying that. And
Thank
I
you, ma.
think that's a point for us to take note of. So how can you reach us? One way is the people on this program can reach us through you, number one, us or through our social media handles. We're Soul Health
Okay.
Talks on Instagram.
Okay.
Um, yeah, you can also use my personal at Dr. Magpie on Instagram.
Okay.
I'm also
Okay.
on Twitter
So
as at Dr. Magpie. So
Dr. Magpie. Okay, so
yes.
I'm going to share all of that after now,
Okay.
so that anybody watching further, because this video is going to be there like forever, so
Yeah.
everybody that encounters it can reach out as soon as they can. It's been my
Okay.
absolute pleasure, ma. I don't know if you have any last words, because I am taking this like seriously, because I come from a background where I have self-schooled myself for years. I mean, for me to step out to be talking to men from when I was even single, and people were saying, "What are you doing? What do you think you're doing? How can you talk to men?" And then succeeding with having events where where men actually come out in mass, and people say, "Girl, how are you doing it?" And having to go for, I also have a certification in coaching, therapy, fear mastery, all of that. That I feel I haven't dug deep, but from doing what I do here, I have those encountered, and I've been able to refer people to, to various experts. I think that this is a point that we cannot overlook. We must do something about. So I'm going to share those details here, and I want to take time to say thank you so much. If you have any last words, something you think that men in particular and also women can do or should do right away after watching this as a call to action, please go ahead and say it, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you very much for the opportunity. And let me just say that being heard is just the first step towards the healing. The healing journey is many steps.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to give us that introduction. But the good news is, whatever is the pain, because we said that trauma is a deep wound of the heart and mind that takes a long
Yeah.
time to heal. So, whatever it is that is a trauma, no matter how deep and no matter how long, healing is available, recovery is possible.
Yeah.
And I want to also highlight that the human being is a whole person. It's not just a body. It's a body,
Mm.
it's a soul, and it's a spirit. And
And the
when we say
spirit.
soul, soul means your intellect, your will, and your emotions.
Okay.
So if something is wrong with your body, you run to the hospital, you run to the doctor. If something is wrong with your soul, you better run to someone who can help you. Because a
Mm.
broken person cannot live a fulfilled life.
Mm.
And for the men, I'm highlighting that because the soul is the spirit, the soul is the will, the emotions, and the intellect.
Mm.
Emotions exist, whether you pretend
Yeah.
they do or not.
Absolutely.
And it could be your undoing, continually suppressing it to please
Exactly.
society. So we should learn to express our emotions.
Mm.
It's better you heal yourself and displease the society than please the
Mm.
society and be broken.
Absolutely.
So
Mm.
healing is available, and some of it is simple things we can do.
Okay.
Express yourself, speak out.
Okay. 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 Let me just give 1 minute for questions. I
Okay.
have people here still watching. Thank you so much for watching. Please drop your questions right now. I'm gonna so that she can read it and I can see it as well, and we can deal with it right away. Anytime you're watching this video as a replay, drop your questions. We'll always refer you. You will always be able to reach out to Dr. Chika after now. So please go ahead. Question time for 60 seconds, counting down 60, 59, 58, 57, 56. Okay, any questions? Anyone? Thank you so much. I'm super excited. Like, it's amazing how time flies when you're having fun. I'm looking at the sun, I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my God, almost an hour. How? It looks like we've been talking for just, 10 minutes. But anyway, any questions, if we don't find them, or if anybody drops afterwards, I'm still going to get this across to you. Thank
Okay,
you so
that's
much,
good.
Ma. Thank you for this time. We don't take it at all for granted. Happy Easter, and thank you for so for being some Jesus like, to be able to come out, live, spend this minute with us. We are super excited and grateful. Thank you, Ma.
Thank
And
you.
to your
Thank you for
amazing
husting
husband.
it. And thank
And
you
for
for
your, to
the
your amazing
work that you
husband.
do.
Thank you, Ma. The amazing husband, we celebrate him, we honor him because, one day we will have to host him on this platform as well, because men have to
Yeah.
find role models, people that, are already where they aspire to be. Right?
Yeah.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you
Thank you
very
so much,
much.
Ma.
Happy
All right,
Easter.
everyone
Love to the
watching, please.
family.
Thank you, ma. Okay, so everyone watching, please make sure you start from the beginning. If you're just watching the replay, so that you understand who Dr. Chika is. We already read the citation at the beginning, and we told our little story as well. Please do also share so that we can help many people. Somebody might be at the verge of leaving his marriage, leaving his home, going into the streets, accepting another drug-related substance. But sharing this can go a long way to save a soul. Please do it for him or her, do it for all of us, and God bless everyone. I'll see you again in my live video. I will definitely have to be doing much more live videos after this first successful one. Thank you. Bye bye. Thank
Bye.
you. Bye. Oh my gosh. I'm trying to go live. Thank you for watching. I'm super excited. All 7 people watching, you guys have my heart. I'm super excited. On this channel, we go all out for men. Check out our over 180 videos already here. And you're going to learn so much. Whether you're a single man, or you're a married man, or you're newly married, or you don't even want to do this thing called marriage, because I have people in my community who say, oh, I don't want to do that. Some of them are changing their mind as year goes by, but absolutely, you are super excited. Sorry, you're super welcome any part of the phase of life that you are. I love you. Thank you so much for watching. And please do start watching from the beginning. If you just joined us halfway, it will do you absolute good. Thank you so much. And good night from Uyo in Nigeria. Bye. Now, let me go about trying to get off live because I'm just trying this feature for the first time. Okay, let me see. Save highlight. Okay, then. Okay. All right. Bye.